Fourth, discussed the situation in the northeast of Syria and agreed that long-term security and stability in this region can only be achieved on the basis of preservation of sovereignty and the territorial integrity of the country. Rejected all attempts to create new realities on the ground, including illegitimate self-rule initiatives under the pretext of combating terrorism. Reaffirmed their determination to stand against separatist agendas in the east of the Euphrates aimed at undermining the unity of Syria as well as threatening the national security of neighboring countries. Expressed concern in this regard with the increasing hostilities against civilians, reiterated their opposition to the illegal seizure and the transfer of oil revenues that should belong to the Syrian Arab Republic. Fifth, condemned continuing Israeli military attacks in Syria, which violate the international law, international humanitarian law, the sovereignty of Syria and the neighboring countries, endanger the stability and the security in the region, and called for cessation of them. Expressed their conviction that there could be no military solution to the Syrian conflict and reaffirmed their commitment to advance viable and lasting Syrian-led and the Syrian-owned UN-facilitated political process in line with the UN Security Council Resolution 2254. Expressed the conviction that the committee in its work should respect the terms of reference and the core rules of procedure to enable the committee to implement its mandate of preparing and drafting for popular approval constitutional reform as well as achieving progress in its work and be governed by a sense of compromise and constructive engagement without foreign interference and externally imposed timelines aimed at reaching general agreement of its members. 11th, emphasize the need to increase humanitarian assistance to all Syrians throughout the country without discrimination, politicization, and preconditions. In order to support the improvement of the humanitarian situation in Syria and the progress in the process of the political settlement, called upon the international community, the United Nations and its humanitarian agencies to enhance the assistance to Syria inter alia by developing early recovery projects, including the restoration of basic infrastructure assets, water and power supply facilities, schools and hospitals, as well as the humanitarian mine action in accordance with the international humanitarian law. 12th, highlighted the need to facilitate safe and voluntary return of refugees and internally displaced persons to their original places of residence in Syria, ensuring their right to return and right to be supported. In this regard, called upon the international community to provide the necessary assistance to Syrian refugees and IDPs and reaffirmed their readiness to continue interaction with all relevant parties, including the Office of the United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees and other specialized international agencies.